Early in Terence Davies' The Long Day Closes, we see the protagonist, young Bud, watching a film with his mother and sister. The music suggests that the film is Carousel, since we hear the familiar carousel waltz, apparently coming from the screen. A dissolve takes us through an abstract space to a fairground, where the three characters are present, as well as Bud's two brothers. Dissolves link a series of languid shots of the family walking.
Kevin!
Have they visited the fair after the movie? Perhaps, but the two brothers had not been with the others in the theater. During the scene, the waltz ends, and a song sung by a male voice replaces it.
He stepped away from me, and she went through the fair.
Eventually, another dissolve leads to the family's home, where Mum takes over singing the same song in a sort of sonic dissolve.
Last night she came to me, she came softly in.
This progression of shots forms a typical, distinctive Terence Davies scene, with his memories of his childhood sliding together with no obvious causal connections. Do these three scenes take place on the same evening? Are they even in chronological order? We might be tempted to interpret the main action of the fairground as a fantasy triggered in Bud's imagination by the movie. But the film doesn't really take us into Bud's mind. It must be the recollections of Bud as an adult looking back on his childhood. That's clear from the opening, where the camera moves through a deserted, derelict street. Scraps of popular culture from the past mark the earlier era as the 1950s, as when we see a ragged poster for The Robe, released in England in 1953. The camera enters a deserted house with a stairway, and a dissolve takes us into the past, a flashback from which the film never returns. It's a flashback without a narrator's voiceover to guide us. Clearly, though, everything we see from this point on represents memories of childhood.
Can I go to the pictures, Mum?
Thus, if the fair is Bud's fantasy, it is presented as the memory of a fantasy. Or perhaps the family really did go to the fair after the movie. Or maybe recalling going to the movie triggers a fantasy in the adult Bud's mind of attending a fair with his family. The effect is a sense of not always being quite sure how the scenes we watch relate to each other, in temporal order or even in their level of reality. Davies often leaves such uncertainties unresolved, evoking the elusive and shifting quality of memories. The result is a film that has almost no plot. Instead, it progresses via scenes based around the three key aspects of Bud's life: his family and friends, his school life, and his struggle with Catholic guilt as he realizes that he is gay.
Deliver me from the misfortune of falling into mortal sin.
The succession of these motifs follows the shifting, associative nature of memories, and dissolves play a key role in weaving them together.
And now the purple dusk of twilight time steals across the meadows of my heart.